Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to episode 15 of Europa Universalis IV. We're currently working towards rebuilding our army. It's taking quite a while, not so much because we are short of money, but we are short of money, mainly because we are short on manpower. We also had a nasty 1 stability drop from a random event, which is a shame, but it's one of those things that does happen. We are 83% of the way through completing our cores on the 3 provinces we took from Brittany in the last war. The French are still at war with Burgundy, although the French are actually losing that war despite being the attackers. I'm going to go ahead and start merging my armies up here in London, and in fact I think what I will do while these guys are up here, we need to repay another loan. Let's go and repay one. We can't afford to repay that one, so we're going to have to extend it. I'm going to group these guys together, and as we have a spare military leader, might as well put him on that group just in case. Now, one thing we could do is we could save a little bit of money. Oh, and one of our generals has just died. It's actually the general that was over here, so that's a little bit of a shame. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy. He's not all that good, to be honest, but we're going to take him off the army that's over here in England, and we're just going to teleport him over and apply him to the army that's over here in Brittany's old lands. That's just because we want this. This is, if we get attacked anywhere at the moment, this is where it's most likely to be. We're probably going to get rebels popping up somewhere here. If anyone tries to attack England, obviously we're going to get a little bit of warning about it, so that is not too bad. We can afford to get ourselves another military leader though. Okay, new emperor, Austrian emperor, which is to be expected. We're not really part of the HRE, so that doesn't matter too much. So we're going to go ahead and hire a new general. And he's actually very good. He only has 1 fire, but he has 4 shock and 4 maneuver. So that's actually quite nice. And I think so much so is I am going to put him on this army and then move the other guy back over to there. So while we do still have a little bit of money, I will still try and get, well, it's not the money that's the issue, it's the manpower, but we'll still keep trying to build our armies up where we can. We're now at 93% towards coring these provinces. Now, once everything is cored and we have a lower chance of revolt, what we can do is we can drop our army maintenance. And dropping the army maintenance means it won't cost us as much gold or as many ducats per month to maintain them. However, there will be a downside to it. It'll mean that we will start with low morale. So if we suddenly get attacked, we're going to be very, very weak and we'll have to put the maintenance back up. When you put the maintenance back up, your morale will go back up to full, but it does take a little bit of time for that to happen. So you do have to be careful to a certain extent. It may also be worth keeping these guys here and flipping. Oh, well, they've got the right culture, the right religion. It's generally never worth trying to flip over the culture. So we've actually managed to core all 3 of these provinces. Our revolt risk has gone away completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my transports over here. I'm going to put all of my troops on said transport and move the transport back over to Wessex. And these guys can sit there quite nicely. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our economy. And we're going to take our army maintenance, which is costing us 3.71 ducats. And we're going to take that down to probably around about 1/3 if we can. So it's only going to cost us 250. So you see now that their morale bar has gone yellow, and that's because they have reduced morale. So if we suddenly get attacked, it will give you a warning if you go to war, and we will have to go in and suddenly throw that maintenance back up just to make sure that we have enough money to go ahead. Still want to keep producing a few units where I can. The fact that I don't actually have a lot of manpower is good because it means that I get to rebuild my army slowly. And because I'm rebuilding the army slowly, it means that it's not going to eat up all of my gold. And we can go and repay some of these loans. We've gained a trade dispute CB against France. They are threatening our trade. We could have a war goal and show superiority, but I don't really want to have to go to war with France. In fact, we don't actually have a truce with France anymore now, so we could end up going to war with France at any point. They do have a coalition against us. And it's just France and Burgundy. But of course, France and Burgundy are at war with each other at the moment. They will start to drop out of the coalition over time, mainly as our aggressive expansion starts to dissipate. That will make things better. So we have another event here. We can either lose 25 prestige and 30 ducats to gain 5 army and navy tradition. Or we can lose 25 prestige and... well, it's the same amount of prestige and ducats to gain 25 admin power. So it's a choice between army tradition and navy tradition and admin power. I think we're going to go for tradition because that's one of the most difficult things to get, and particularly if you go to war. Because I do believe the French... oh, apparently we've taken out another loan automatically because we've run out of money. If we actually have a look over here at France, yeah, their military tech is level 5, and ours is only level 4. So we do want to try and get ahead of them and stay ahead of the curve. Because we can't always do that, we are going to... oh, look at that. France are getting some rebels there, French noble rebels. So we're just going to be saving up some of our power points and trying to get ahead of everybody else tech-wise. You can't get too far ahead, because if you get too far ahead in time, you actually get a penalty, which makes it more difficult to... or more expensive to take the next level of tech. So you do have to stay within a certain time frame. And we've got Artois, and Cambrai has now been taken by the French, which means the war score will actually start to tick more in France's direction, which is understandable. We could potentially save up a little bit of money instead of me buying some additional troops and using that money to build a few buildings in England. That wouldn't be a bad idea. We could start to improve our trade. Certainly a good idea to get some buildings up and running and help with that. It's also a good idea, if they don't already have them, to get forts in a lot of places, although it looks like most places already have a level 2 fort or above, so I don't really need to worry too much about that right now. It's mainly getting the money coming in. So as you can see, we can still build an armory in more than 3 provinces. The armory is probably all we can afford right now. And that basically, it does cost us some money, but it gives us a plus 25 manpower increase. Now, that's not an extra 25 to the manpower we have. That's an extra 25 to the maximum manpower limit. So the limit's not the problem, it's actually getting the extra manpower coming in. Don't think we want to worry about the armories too much right now. It does decrease the recruitment time, but again, that is not one of our big problems. I guess what we could do is use... what have we got here? Yep, repay another loan. Now we've got another loan that we can't afford, so we're going to have to extend it. What we could do is go and suck up to another nation. It would be nice to keep things cool with Castile. So let's go into Castile, and we will go to Relation Actions and Improve Relations. Go ahead and do that. We can also go ahead and do the same thing with Portugal for a while, just to make sure that they do stay as high as possible. We do want to keep them on our side, mainly because it helps to discourage France and Burgundy from declaring war on us, because they'll have to deal with Portugal and Castile at the same time. And we're still making a little bit of gold, but it is very little. How are we doing on the old loans front these days? Inflation is still going up, which is a little bit of a pain. We could spend some admin power and reduce the inflation, but I don't think we're going to worry about that too much. We still have 22 loans, so it is going down. We are slowly reducing the debt. Now, there's no advantage to paying off a loan early. You still get the same amount of interest, so don't think that you just want to save up a load of money and pay off all of your loans as quickly as you can. Just pay them off as and when you need to, unless you get a massive amount of money and decide that it's worth doing. Looks like Castile are doing what they should be doing for their national quest, and they are taking out Granada. That makes a lot of sense. Navarra has now become part of... Aragon, which makes sense. They may have diplo-vassalized it, or they may have taken it militaristically. Didn't quite know. I didn't keep my eye on it. We have lost our claim on Connaught, but that's not too bad because we're not going to try and take it militaristically. I mean, we could. Leinster do have well, they're allied with us, but they're also allied with Castile, so it would be a little bit dangerous to try and do anything there. We are eventually going to try and get vassalization with them, but we do need to increase our military power and our tax base, and that's why it is important for us to get some buildings in. We need to get some buildings that are going to increase our tax, and that will give us more of a chance of being able to diplomatically vassalize Leinster. But we're a little way off on money right now. In fact, I still don't think we can... What do we need? So that you've got your... these buildings along the top are all the ones that give you tax modifiers. So you've got tax, manpower, trade, production efficiency, more trade, and like missionary strength and supply limits and things like that. So temples are really what we need. But we don't have the technology to get them yet, which is a bit of a pain. We could go ahead and build the armories everywhere, but they are quite expensive. They take 12 months to build. They only cost us 10 military power, which is not too bad. Might not be a bad idea to have one or two of them around, but let's try and save up some money. What do we need in order to get temples? Let's just have a quick look at the technology. Temples come along with our next administrative tech. So as soon as we get enough administrative tech to take... tech level 5, we'll get constable and temples, and that'll be great for us. That'll allow us to increase our tax rates quite a bit. So, okay, Balkan has become an active cardinal. He's loyal to England. We invested 105 in the cardinals. So, if we actually look now in the papacy, we have... that's Castile. Where's our flag? We are down there. So we now have one active cardinal. Castile have two, of course, so they are the papal controller, but there's still a chance that we could get someone else in at some point. There is somebody else we're throwing at, but Castile are beating us a little bit there. But now we're only going to be bidding on one cardinal, or one future cardinal, so maybe we will be able to put more points in than Castile. Now, as I've said, in the upcoming expansion, the Art of War, they are actually changing the way that this whole system of getting cardinals works, so I'm not going too much into that. We've got another loan to repay. Let's go ahead and repay it because we can afford to do so. We're doing quite well on manpower now. I think it's time to spend a little bit more money and get another unit or two on the board, so let's go ahead and do that. Just trying to make sure we don't run out of manpower too quickly. We've got a revolt possible. The following provinces run a risk of having a revolt. Aberdeen has a 1.4% chance of a patriot result. And the problem we've got with Aberdeen at the moment is we can't actually get to it. Well, we could drop some troops off over there via ship. I think what we're going to do, though, is just going to go for harsh treatment. For 40 military power, we can reduce the revolt risk down for a while to 0. So I don't have to worry too much about that. Let's go ahead and group these guys up because it makes a lot of sense to me to have them all in one group. Recall that diplomat from Portugal because he has got the diplomatic reputations up with Portugal as high as he can. I guess we could work on Scotland. The chances of us ever being friends with Scotland are next to nothing. But we could try and take them diplomatically. Obviously, they are smaller now because we have taken one of their provinces. So we'll give it a go and see what happens. So we have another event here which either can lose 50 Diplo power or lose 50 admin power. I'd sooner lose the Diplo power because I want to keep the administrative power in order to try and get to the next technology level so that we can start building some temples and getting some extra money. Looks like Munster's got a little bit of a problem there with some rebels, although they are sending in their army to go and deal with it, so they should be able to sort that out without too much of a problem. And they're only peasants. Peasants are usually quite easy to kill. They're just sort of like farmers armed with pitchforks. Yeah, so they managed to do that quite nicely. Still making a bit of money now. Every now and then we do manage to peak up into the 100s. Obviously, we are losing some prestige and some power projection because that does diminish over time. We've lost our Reconquest CB against Burgundy, obviously something that they took from us. France actually managed to take Calais, Artois and Picardy in the war with the war with Burgundy. I assume they've now peaced out with them. Yes, they have. Of course, this now means we could go to war with France and try and take Calais, Artois and Picardy for ourselves. A little bit risky to try and do. Let's keep our eye on Brittany. Brittany still only have an alliance with Savoy. So there's still a possibility of being able to go to war with them. There's another loan that we can repay. Now, how big is Savoy? Because Savoy's all the way down here, and it would be a little bit difficult for Savoy to get troops across. What you've got to remember, though, is I believe that Savoy is actually part of the HRE, which means that they're probably going to get Burgundy involved. There we go. So Burgundy, Tuscany, and Mantua, well, they're not so important, but Burgundy certainly is. So if we go to war... yeah, just losing a few claims. That's fine. It will actually help our relations with them anyway. So if you consider that we could go to war with Brittany, Brittany may get Savoy involved, which isn't going to be that big a deal, but Savoy may get Burgundy involved and may also get part of the HRE involved as well. So we do have to be quite careful because of that. So I still think we need to build up some of our troops. So let's go ahead and get another couple of regiments of infantry in. We will try and get this national quest done. What is the reward for it? I can't remember. 5 prestige and 5 army tradition. So not fantastic, but it certainly will help. Are there any things we can enact? Probably not, otherwise they'd be lit up already. Can't form the British nation yet. And again, we still need to get up to... administrative technology level 10 to be able to do that, and we need to own Lothian, or Lothian, or however it's pronounced. You'll have to excuse me there, but we'll get that at some point. Let's go ahead and merge up that army. So as you can see, not an awful lot going on in between wars. Brittany are transferring trade power to France. That is interesting. Any particular reason for that? Because you're now allied with France. Yeah, so this is the problem we've got now. If we were to try and go to war with Brittany, and we couldn't go to war with Brittany any earlier because we already had a truce with them. But if we were to try and go to war with Brittany now, we'd be going to war with France as well. Actually, they're no longer transferring trade power. They still have the alliance, which is a little bit weird. Revolts risk possible. In Poitou, they may defect to France. We're going to go ahead and do the harsh treatment, so that'll sort things out there. Now, why aren't they happy? It's probably because they're cosmopolitan. If France ever give up their core, we will be fine. Can't do an awful lot about that because the province has nationalism, so we can't go and flip their culture. But I think we should be okay. What I would like to try and do, though, at some point, we are going to have to try and crush France. It would be nice if we could take Loire from Brittany, because that would very much start to isolate France from the coast. And if they don't have any coastal provinces, then they're not going to be able to produce any ships. And it also makes them very hard for them to embark and disembark troops. So, random event loses us 5 prestige, not the end of the world. We can handle that right now. So, got to keep building up the army. Again, got a little bit more power coming in. I think it's time to get ourselves another cavalry. And then we'll probably get a couple of infantry, because infantry are quite cheap. We've got the manpower to go ahead and do that. So, let's get on and do it. Got to be careful, of course, because France are rebuilding their army. And if they suddenly decide to go to war with me, I could be in a little bit of a situation. Keep getting those loans repaid off. There's still quite a lot of them to deal with. Down to 19 though, which is good. Not too sure why Brittany are constantly transferring trade power and then not transferring trade power. That is a little bit strange. But let us carry on nonetheless. Now, there are a lot of people that play this game, especially with some nations who do nothing but declare war on people. I mean, that's fine. You can certainly do it that way, but the big problem was because I had this massive fight against France, I did so much damage to my manpower. I've literally just got nothing left. So it is going to take me a little bit of time to get my manpower back up to a position where I can do something useful to it. And again, I really do want to get my I want to level up all of my technologies if I can. And this is the best sort of opportunity to do it. I'm going to go up to game speed 4 here because it makes more sense just to try and get a little bit more money. So you're going to see things start flying by really quickly. Again, this is not the fastest speed that the game can run on. We could be doing it at... We could be doing it at speed 5, but then I'm bound to miss something nasty if it happens there. So I'm just going to carry on and run at this speed. Keep on building up some manpower. Keep on building up some money. Get those loans repaid. We're going to bring back our diplomat from Scotland, and in fact we might even have a look over there next month and see if we can offer them anything to make them more friendly. Build a great palace. So we can either gain 10 prestige and 20 legitimacy for 76 ducats, or we can lose 10 prestige. Well, we don't really need the legitimacy. Gaining 10 prestige isn't all that great, and we're really short of money, so I think we're just going to lose the 10 prestige and deal with that. Meantime, we're going to go over to Scotland, and we can't offer them an alliance because they have a really negative opinion of us. We could possibly offer them a royal marriage, but they may say no. Yeah, they really don't like us because they have a hostile attitude towards us, which I don't blame them. I mean, we did steal one of their lands, but that will go down over time. In fact, it should actually tell us here, once our province is minus 51, improve relations, enemy of the enemy, which goes up monthly, and they desire a lot of places that we have. Yeah, they view us with distrust. We're probably never going to be friends with Scotland, so we may just have to go over and invade them. Are Scotland actually allied with anybody at the moment? They are allied with France and the Hansa. The Hansa aren't going to be too much of a problem, but France definitely would. So let's repay that loan and go back into all things that are fast and speedy. Up to over 8,000 manpower now. Would be nice to get a few more units on the build. Portugal has declared war on Morocco. We haven't been dragged into that war. Well, not yet anyway, so we don't have to worry too much about that. We are going to have some more loans coming up. There's another one. There's one that we can't afford, so we're going to have to extend that. Actually, a couple there that we've had to extend that we couldn't afford. So yeah, quite a few loans. And I do really want to continue building up this army. So we could go ahead and get a couple of infantry. Infantry are actually quite cheap. They're only like 10 ducats apiece. So let's keep building up the army while that is a possibility. Okay, we can't improve any relations anymore with Castile, so we'll recall that diplomat. And that is pretty much where I am going to call this video. So we haven't been able to do an awful lot in this episode, and unfortunately that's just the way it is sometimes with EU4. There's very, very little to do in between the wars, which is something that Marbazir mentioned to me, and he's absolutely right. I mean, if you have a sustainable nation that's big enough with a big enough army and a good enough economy to keep lots of perpetual wars going, there's always something to do. But when it comes down to the fact that you've run out of manpower and you're just having to sit and lick your wounds until you're ready to fight, it can be a little uneventful in between those wars. But still, we will strive on. I really want to show you guys a little bit of colonization before we end this series, so I'm definitely going to push towards getting the technology for that. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying Europa Universalis IV, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, goodbye for now.